Myanmar is about to hold its first election in 20 years. The US and UN are calling on the regime to make it free and fair, but critics already condemn it as a rigged vote to further entrench the military in power. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim. On this edition of 101 East, we take an exclusive look inside Myanmar as it prepares for the polls. In the lead up to the election, foreign media have been banned from Myanmar, but filmmaker Evan Williams has managed to direct hidden cameras inside the country to tell their story.
This is the border between Thailand and Myanmar. I'm on the Thai side because foreign journalists are banned from entering Myanmar, formerly known as Burma. Capturing scenes from across the river is as near as I can get. I've come here to meet my contacts, brave Burmese who, for the past 2 months, have been filming secretly inside the country. Now, the military government says this is the first step towards a guided or disciplined democracy. And opposition groups say this is just legitimising continued military control. Myanmar's military government keeps a tight rein on what people watch, read and hear, especially in the run-up to this election. But from a safe house in Thailand, a team of Burmese journalists gather news from inside Myanmar and feed it back via satellite. They are the Democratic Voice of Burma, or DVB. For years they've been defying the generals, and despite incredible dangers to their operators inside Myanmar, they keep broadcasting their bulletins. It's been their camera teams I've used to film secretly inside Myanmar. Filming without government permission in Myanmar can lead to 10 years in prison. That includes political gatherings like this campaign meeting for the Democratic Party, a small party fielding 50 candidates for the more than 1,500 seats up for grabs. The military wants the world to believe this election will be free and fair. And until now, meetings like this would have been unthinkable in Myanmar. But party leaders here say they continue to battle tight military control.
This system has been in place for a long time and military intelligence knows everything. So our activities are monitored by them and we're always under surveillance by them. Because they are involved everywhere and in everything, the people are afraid of them.
Cho Nyen is the daughter of a former government minister. He and her mother, husband and brother have all served several years in jail for political work. Cho was recently released from 7 years in prison. She still believes the election is a small chance for change.
Lots of people, lots of students, have been in the jungle and tried to achieve their goal by using force of arms. I've seen many die on the streets, and I've seen a lot in the jails as well. So I decided, whether this government's intention is good or not, when it announced it would hold elections, it was time to do something for the nation and for the people. Whoever may censure me as a politician, I believe that we can change the system through this small opening, and that's why I've entered this election.
But she bravely reveals the restrictions that they have to operate under.
When we go to organize in the rural areas, if we go to the monastery, they come and demand of the monks, "Why are you welcoming politicians to your monastery?" They then issue an order restricting us from going there. People are like frogs hiding under a log, being very frightened. This fear is ingrained in them. We must release them from this fear.
That fear has been created by 5 decades of brutal military rule, which has ruined a once prosperous nation. The generals crush all dissent and control most of the business. Corruption, repression, forced labour and official abuses are rife. Now the military is using the election to try and change its image. It's formed its own political party, the Union Solidarity and Development Party, or USDP. It's running more than 1,100 candidates across every available seat, many times more than any other party. Many of them are recently retired military officers, men like Yangon Mayor, former General Aung Tain Lin.
International community
In addition to having their own mass party, the army has guaranteed itself key seats and ministries through a new constitution which the generals drafted 2 years ago. David Matheson is a senior researcher at Human Rights Watch, based in Thailand.
The Constitution grants the military sweeping powers in terms of assigned ministerial portfolios. They grant the serving military officers 25% of the lower house seats in the National Parliament, 1/3 of the seats in the upper house, and about 12 to 20% in the regional parliaments. There'll be 14 regional parliaments throughout the country. So out of about 1,500 parliamentary seats that will come out of the elections, about 500 of them, 400 or 500 of them, will be reserved for the military. This is an authoritarian system. Burma is still an authoritarian country. It's illegal to criticise the elections. Most of the opposition are either excluded through electoral laws or are imprisoned. So it's quite an astonishing, sophisticated electoral rigging process to ensure the result that the military wants, which is perpetuating the rule.
In Myanmar, our camera teams reach Aung Tain, a noted Yangon lawyer.
When they wrote the 2008 Constitution, it was drafted for the purpose of extending their hold on power. The military have already established that their party will be the majority in the parliament. They have established organizations, and these organizations have become the government's political parties. So they will have the majority in the parliament. The small parties have almost no chance.
The main political prisoner many want released is this woman. Aung San Suu Kyi is still under house arrest. In the last election in 1990, her National League for Democracy party, the NLD, won more than 80% of the vote. The military never allowed them to take power. Instead, Suu Kyi has spent most of the past 20 years under detention. The army's election laws meant Suu Kyi and many party members would have been expelled to allow the NLD to run. At this NLD meeting in March, filmed by DVB, the party decided not to contest the election. Among those at the meeting is 81-year-old U Win Tin, Myanmar's best-known journalist. 2 years ago, he was released after 18 years in prison. Our camera teams found him at home. Despite his long incarceration, he's still prepared to speak out.
We've said, please review the 2008 Constitution. Please review. Please alter. Please change and redraft. This is what we've been saying. If that is not done, then there is no reason for us to take part in the election. If we just could get a sniff of democracy, even if not full democracy, if it smells of democracy, we probably take part in it. But the present 2008 Constitution is completely lacking in democracy.
With virtually no opposition, Myanmar's military is using the state-controlled airwaves to sell its USDP party.
Coming up after the break, we see what risks people will take in the lead-up to Myanmar's election to access alternative forms of media. Stay with 101 East. Welcome back to 101 East. This week we're looking at Myanmar as it holds its first election in 2 decades. Here's more from Evan Williams.
Anyone who criticises the election or the constitution can be jailed. The military tightly controls all information and decides which parties will get election coverage. But some groups are determined to subvert the army's grip on information. To give people access to independent news, Amnesty International has brought thousands of radios it wants to smuggle across the border. Youth organisation members of the Burmese ethnic Karen minority are taking some of the first radios in. It's a dangerous mission. They have to choose their crossing carefully.
There are a lot of landmines in that area. The villagers who cross the border don't dare to go back and plant the rice and fields.
Being found with hundreds of radios would lead to arrest and torture. Carrying the sack of radios, their first stop is a camp of several thousand refugees. In these remote parts of Myanmar, people don't have the cash for luxuries like radios. That night, they get their first chance to hear independent news, or any news about the election. Dewa too is writing down the news that she'll share with her class and other villagers the next day.
At school, we're divided in 4 groups. Every evening we listen in these groups to the radio. The next morning we share this and have a discussion.
A revolt against their strong military rule is what the army fears most. In 2007, thousands of Buddhist monks led an uprising that shook the foundations of military rule. These last moments were filmed by DVB camera teams. The army moved in and opened fire, killing 138 and arresting hundreds more. Monks were among those beaten and killed. Many remain in prison or under surveillance. Secret internal police files have been leaked to DVB, revealing how the military is trying to ensure there's no similar disturbance around the election. The Democratic Voice of Burma says the files show how a large delegation of senior Burmese police officers was sent to China to see how it controls troublesome riots.
Depending on the document that we got from the police source, some of the senior police officers are getting training in foreign country, especially in China. They are getting training, especially about how to crack down at demonstrations, especially riot police.
At the border, I meet Tiha, a contact who can take me to some of those involved in the 07 uprising. Tiha was jailed for political activism, the last 6 years spent in solitary confinement. But as he explains, the cost was a lot more than his freedom.
They sentenced me to death first, but on the 1st of January in 1993, my sentence was commuted to life, 20 years. And I spent my life in prison for 17 years, 6 months and 16 days total.
Do you have a family?
Yes, but now my family has been broken because when I got arrested, my daughter was just 3 months old baby, and so we didn't meet each other. We never met each other till I was released. So when I was released, my daughter was just about to be 18. So when she saw me first time in Rangoon after being released, she told me, I accept you. You are my daddy, but I don't know you. Sorry. I had passed my childhood with our parents because Mom died in 1997 because of you, Daddy. She told me like that. But I met her 5 times in Rangoon. Now she's 20. So gradually, I think she understands me gradually.
We travel to Piem camp, home for 30,000 refugees from Myanmar, including about 50 former political prisoners. Many of these monks were involved in the Saffron Revolution. They escaped after many years in prison. Senior monk U Nyanyet Tara says the monks are still organising.
We
do whatever comes to hand, sticking up posters on walls and organising. So we are trying our best to oppose the election, which the military government is trying to use to transform itself from a military government to a legal government.
He said military intelligence is infiltrating the monasteries and arrests continue. He told me a senior monk was just jailed for 15 years for having a laptop and video camera in his monastery.
So the election is merely to make an illegal government appear to be a legitimate government. They will just go on oppressing the people.
As the election nears, the information war intensifies. Further north on the Thai-Myanmar border, a team from Amnesty International has flown in to check the progress of their radio project. The next batch of several hundred radios is ready to go in. For Amnesty, this is a dramatic new step from defending human rights to actively intervening in the defence of freedom of speech.
We're lobbying at an international level for people to be able to participate in the political process this year, but we wanted to do something that would have an impact on the ground as well. Media censorship was identified as a key issue for people not being able to access their rights.
To understand the dangers involved, they review video the Karen took of their journey.
So this is you going to buy the radios?
Yes, yes. So,
there's so many factors, aren't there, that are involved in you doing this work and KYO.
Finally, it gets too dangerous for the couriers to go alone. To get these radios deeper, they have to hand over some of them to armed members of the Karen National Liberation Army. It's a confronting issue for Amnesty.
Is there an issue for Amnesty in the fact that you've got at least 2 armed guys taking them in?
Amnesty doesn't endorse the political views of any armed groups operating within Burma. We're working with community-based organisations to get radios into the hands of the people that need them, and to do that as safely and as effectively as possible.
I'll explain to you.
In Umpiem refugee camp, former political prisoners have gathered to discuss the election. They tell me Thailand's foreign minister has just said that Burmese refugees can be sent back after the election. Thailand has since retracted the statement, but these stateless, unregistered refugees feel vulnerable.
I'm afraid of being deported back to Burma because we cannot trust this military government, even if they change democratic government. Yeah, same people.
We political prisoners can't go out to work and we can't get enough to eat. But after 5 years, we're not completely lost faith. But we are missing all hope, and if we're sent back to the killing fields, it means something worse.
On the Thai border, David Matheson from Human Rights Watch has come to the office of an association helping political prisoners.
This is the total number of political prisoners, 2,193, that have been documented by the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners.
The election is being held with 2,100 political prisoners still in jail. Many of them are key members of the democratic opposition. He says many Western countries are now ready to use the elections as a way of getting rid of sanctions and gaining access to rich resources of gas, oil, teak, gold and timber.
I think there's a lot of business interests that want to expand, that want to head off the extent of Chinese and Southeast Asian investment. Things like that I think will change. There'll be an illusion of openness and a democratic system. And then I think slowly there'll just be more and more business engagement, a toning down of some of the more human rights and political criticism, which I think will be disastrous. It'll be a betrayal of the people of Burma.
For the Burmese, only one thing is certain. No matter what the people want, the outcome of the election is assured. The generals have seen to that.
That's all the time we have for this edition of 101 East. You can always follow the program on our website, podcast and Facebook. From all the team, thanks for watching.